And we're live. Hello, everyone. This is Ninja DC. Joining you again for a React video for My Little Pony Season 7, Episode 15. Joining me again is Unova.
Alrighty then. Hello, my name is Carlos Martinez Jr., and I am the Angry Anime Video Game Geek! I hope you're all ready for some awesome gaming here. Today we have right now is some Persona 5 memes, sponsored by Pony Scientology 6. Because anything you can get at to make Applejack an interesting character is by making her a blank slate main character for your anime video game over 100 hours. That's what you need to do to make your characters interesting. Thank you. Good luck. Good luck.
How do you come up with those?
Well, it's a combination of Second's advice combined with what we just did together, and it equals that. Spontaneity.
God, I wish I could think that quickly.
Oh gosh, Applejack would make like a good version of like the male protagonist in a harem anime.
Oh god.
You know the exact archetype I'm talking about, though. Like the good but bland guy has all the girls for him, like has no personality.
Yeah, and Fluttershy would probably be the weepy one that's always questioning her will to live or whatever.
Oh god.
But joining us again, Gian.
Oh, me, right. Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for the first time in my brand new man cave. You know, I would have joined everyone for the Voltron React, but unfortunately I didn't have my main PC back then. And my laptop, well, for the last little while, it has been a bit of a bastard. It wouldn't let me into Hangouts, so I could not hang out, as it were. But again, now things should run a lot smoother.
Then again, that is the main objective of all technology, to be the scourge of humanity until its finality.
Yeah. I don't know what I did, but at some point my laptop just kind of like went into this phase where if I click something on internet browser, it opens some other pop-up, you know, and then another pop-up shows up. I just can't get rid of it. Yeah, I've tried everything except taking it to an actual person to fix it.
Yeah, that sounds like it might be, I don't say a virus, but what's the word? Trying to think of.
Yeah. Misfiring connections.
Malware.
I know.
Malware.
I've had the laptop for about, I don't know, five years, I think, or more. So it's probably due for an upgrade. Yeah, I only keep it around because it's got my only copy of Photoshop on it.
Oh.
Yeah. Like my only copy of Photoshop.
Yeah, because nowadays, if you want to get the newer one, you have to pay a monthly subscription.
Oh, yes. You just got to pay those monthly fees.
Yes, you can't go to LimeWire anymore.
We will continue to think of ways to get your money.
We've got to have money.
Money. Give me the big bucks. Give me the buck. All this money is giving me such
what do you say?
And also join us again, Second.
Hello, my name is The Second Opinion. You can call me Second. I go by my middle name. But anyway.
Second to none?
Exactly. And that's why they're so eager to have me on this show where we review ponies and lollipops and educational flashcards and something like that. Anyway, though, whatever it is, I'll be happy to give my insight on it. So, from a critic first to the fan second, here it is.
All right. Is everyone ready then?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
we have the episode up.
Totes emotion.
Totes my totes.
All right, everyone press play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Ooh, that looks hot.
I know what's with this daily motion like source I'm getting. They always lag at the first few seconds.
Oh my God, Spike is enacting his inner Twilight.
Is that where Mario's gonna pop up?
Yeah, it's a good idea. Stick your head in the fire pit.
Well, then again, he's immune.
Dragons are fireproof. I do remember that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey.
just jump into lava.
I invited Dragon Lord Ember to Ponyville today. Reason 2, the Dragon Lord is a dragon. Reason 3, she's coming here to learn more about friendship.
Is he practicing his Yusaku oppression here? Give me my 3 reasons why he must do this task.
Yeah.
Which brings me to reason number 4.
Oh.
The Dragon Lord wants my advice. And as the new official equestrian friendship ambassador to the dragon...
Yes! Thank you, episode! You already gave me top tier! You already wanted top tier before the intro.
I just want things to be perfect.
Aww.
Reason number 4. If things go well, maybe she'll date me.
Of course I am, silly. You invited me, and I'm not one to...
Oh, God, no.
Hey, Twilight. Hey, Starlight.
What's with the faces?
This for me.
Oh, yeah, what's so awkward about Thorax? I thought he was the sweetie pie.
Yeah, he is the sweetie pie. Okay, that's already more character than season 6 right now. Unique character interaction.
Seem like a good idea. How are you going to entertain them both? I have no idea.
Entertain them both. Okay, so that's the issue. It's not just like, let's not have them meet each other. Okay, that's more plausible for a plot.
Well, so far.
Yeah.
Don't give me that forewarning for boarding.
Oh, and actually, I have actually not watched the episode, so I was just guessing. But since he was, since like he's taking after Twilight's organization, he might take after her paranoia too.
Yeah, of course. Ugh.
The solution is going to be
more than one
not let them meet each other.
How to entertain more than one person at a time? Oh, how? I mean, Twilight only entertains people at a time.
Fire good.
Me make marshmallows.
Ember is tough and self-assured and intimidating.
Hello there, Josh Hamilton.
Spike, I'm so glad you invited me.
Huh.
One of my closest, nicest, most caring,
No, so is the lesson going to be like the same as with the main 6, like
Is that ice in the shape
differences
of a dragon?
between our friends and very things that make our friendship strong and all that?
He's excitable about dragons.
They'll hate each other.
And then Fluttershy comes in at the end and says, "What's the big deal?"
Yep.
No, Fluttershy and Discord coming at you.
Oh God! War Equestria!
Well, he's certainly taking after Twilight like this.
Or the vector graphics.
I'm sure that won't happen.
Let the insects raid over the dragon lions.
Everything good with you?
Well, honestly, no, not really. I have indigestion. I'm not sure if it's...
Okay.
Here I come to kill you all.
Yeah, it might be affecting
Oh, God.
Sounds like you really need to unwind. How about a trip to the castle? You can't miss that view. Yes, the castle.
Is his wings in his butt?
Oh, that's
Oh,
just
it's
the
like his
tail.
tail.
That's his tail. The wings are hidden under the scarab shell.
Oh, okay.
Catch up.
I just need a tail to do bugs have. Tail.
Ooh, superhero landing!
That's an entrance.
Mm.
Friendship ambassador for Dragonlands and for Ponyville. I, Spike of Ponyville, welcome.
What is this, Game of Thrones? What's with all the tiles?
Okay, thanks.
You know you're hugging my
Gotta bring that back.
This has a lot of colors. In the Dragonlands, everything's just rocks or the color of ash.
Mm. Oh, purple fire!
Probably.
We worked forever on that banner.
That's probably why.
Hey, Twilight.
Yeah, the fans have been making that joke forever.
Okay, that was a good joke.
I'm really gonna have to get used to these pony names. Lots of lights and shiny things.
She's in her castle.
Self-commentary.
Visit her then. Part of friendship is saying hi to your friends. Right?
Aww.
Yeah, but come on.
You're making weird noises. Do you have a stomach ache?
I feel one coming.
Well, you know what our
Sorry.
stomach said.
You
Just
precious
ask
cinnamon
the
roll.
pain. Now let's go.
We could stay here.
Or I could go without you.
Oh,
Ouch.
she's the one demanding and leading. You better not add her to your exclusionary friend group.
Oh,
Mm.
good. Come on here.
What was
I
that?
said it's.
I need to pee.
You must be hungry from your travels. Please, I'd love to present you with an official friendship welcome banquet.
Official friendship welcome banquet. Oh, oh yeah.
Something friends do?
Yeah, you know, I always wondered that. Why doesn't Spike just eat a castle?
He's just polite, I guess.
Like your time would happen to her wall. Okay, yeah.
Never by the huge group of dragons to Ponyville and the Crystal Empire.
Where are you going? I thought this was an official friendship banquet.
Dragon's room.
Oh, the thing I said earlier came up.
This is my comfy
How
chair for
about-
fictional reads.
Ooh,
Oh, this is so going to be taken out of context.
Yeah.
attentive. Okay.
Oh, Spike! I'm so glad you're
I was getting so bored.
It is getting weird. Everyone likes chairs.
Oi.
And
There's
Twilight
still-
finds her fetish.
Right.
Yeah,
They ran out.
Hey,
your fetish.
I'm really sorry, but I gotta go.
Twilight's still gonna be the most boring character now.
I'm still gonna call that thing his wing butt.
But we
You
didn't
know,
get to talk yet.
no, it is
Aww.
butt wing.
Ember's here.
I know. I saw you coming and had to distract Thorax by showing him chairs. Why did you bring Ember to the
Unless
castle
they
of all
explain it.
places?
It's too bad you didn't
I mean-
play musical chairs.
Thorax wants to talk with me.
Uh.
We need to switch places.
What?
We're getting suspicious.
All we have to do is make both Thorax and Ember feel special and keep them apart for a few more hours. We can do this.
Wow, what?
What the? Is he
No.
becoming Godzilla?
No.
Mm.
Okay. No. Thank
Now
you.
it doesn't even need cutie marks.
Well, to be fair, he has been magically summoned before.
He has. Well, to the
Yeah, well,
Dragon
dragon,
Man.
yeah, but I mean,
But glowing the entire body.
Time. I get it.
Mm.
Spike, are you here?
okay.
Ember's eaten all of Twilight's decorations and... Twilight! Glowing map. Glowing spikes.
Where is his friendship problem? Because
It looks like
I think it is.
At least your friendship problem is in Ponyville?
Okay, yeah.
Okay,
The
okay.
rainbow.
To pull this off, I'm gonna need both of you to help. You two need to keep Ember and Thorax separate while I get ice cream.
You mean find the friendship problem?
Yes.
What could it be?
I'm under-
It's not like it's
Yeah.
glowing all of a sudden around
Okay,
him.
I mean, I'm starting to cringe a little bit. I really hope they're not just gonna like force the whole "ooh, keep them apart, things get wacky" sort of plot the whole time.
Any pony
Was
got
that male
problem?
Derpy in the background?
No.
Ooh, okay, is it two guys at a restaurant?
I think vanilla strawberry cream is overused.
Yeah.
Yes. Fight it.
Yes!
What seems to be the problem?
Could it possibly be that the friendship problem isn't going to be them, that it's just gonna
Yeah.
be yet another obstacle in this episode?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. More pony hugs.
Force that a little bit.
Well, I'm certainly learning a lot about friendship. I had no idea it was polite to decorate your walls in your friend's favorite food.
Oh my.
So you just have to try every pillar?
I feel like I'm being avoided.
No. They're just making sure everything.
Yeah, I like less with the hijinks, more with the playing off of these characters. Like, that's when this episode is good.
I can't exactly learn about friendship if I don't make new friends.
And I can't exactly eat new friends if I don't make new friends.
Ooh. Chair toboggan.
That's right, these two are buddies.
Official paperwork to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
So looks like you and I get to hang out.
Finally, individual time with these two.
To talk with Spike. He said he'd be right back.
Ah.
Oh, you will. But first, how about we grab a bite to eat?
But first...
You know, now that you've said that, I'm a little hungry. Is there a dining room in the castle?
No.
Really? There's no dining room?
That's castle food.
So, what does he eat
If
now?
you want the good stuff, we gotta go to town.
If it's normal pony food,
Friendship love, doesn't he?
And that's why you should never let cupcake flavors get in the way of your friendship.
Huh. I guess I never thought of it that way. Thanks, Spike.
Oh, we got the voice from Lyra, but not Bon Bon.
Glow!
Or
Spike! There you are. Done with your boring paperwork, I see.
oh, sarcasm. It's strong with this one.
Done with whatever Starlight says I was doing.
Thorax wanted to get out of the castle. I thought coming to town was a really, really great idea.
Well,
Yeah,
maybe
you think they would have better coordinated this somewhat?
Sure.
I'll leave you guys to it.
First of all, I want to say thank you for having me over. I'm in a bit of a leadership pickle, and I could use some...
Oh!
Definitely want to help
I
you
see
out.
where this is going now.
Here's my problem. There's this renegade group of changelings who still feed off of love.
Oh!
I say, hey, let's not do that anymore. They say, hey, this is how we've been doing things for hundreds of years.
Oh, God.
Alright.
Oh, come on, that was a really interesting story.
Sure
The fans
enough.
have been theorizing about that for ages.
I am Ember, daughter of Torch, winner of the Gauntlet of Fire, and Lord of all.
Hear me!
Ah, Princess Luda!
Usually when I do that, the dragons are eager to meet me.
Well, they don't appreciate danger.
I get it.
They also...
Oh!
This is a weird friendship thing you ponies do, right?
Oh, God, yes! Yes, make her sad.
Cringe.
Why? Why would you do that?
Yes.
Why?
You just set that joke up so well. It just works on so many levels.
So simple, but I derive the
I'm sorry,
enjoyment
but
out
you
of
can't
hating.
believe it. You both look and act so much alike.
Oh, now that, on the other hand, is kind of funny.
Oh,
Ember, the
God.
fourth wall breaker.
The teacup dial.
Definitely gotta hear it. But the story about my brother was when I was 2.
Wait, brother?
As I won. This is my scene.
Wow, Thorax can gab.
Well, I got here first.
Thorax, excuse me for a second. Ponies, please, if I may. I think I can help solve this friendship problem.
2 chairs.
You two should sit together. You both like the same place, you both ordered muffins, you're both ponies. I think if you made a little effort, you'd find it.
Oh!
Spike just started a romance.
That had to have done it. Come on, Spikes, glow.
Ooh. First in the hernia,
That
aren't
was
you?
really great advice. So, what do you think I should do?
Oh.
So, Spike advice becoming such demand, though.
To really come up with great advice. I'll be right back.
Great. No problem. Leave me again.
Mm.
It's fine.
I'm just
Oh,
saying.
bit of a
Both
clingy
purple
guy.
ponies with purple hair. You both have cutie marks with sparkly things. Mine's more of a glimmer. Different.
Ember, breaker of fourth walls.
Can you please
Yes.
tell me the difference? They look very similar.
One thing friends do is...
They're also, for some
Season is-
reason, the same age.
Pony else.
But I'm right.
Yeah, this season is like a reference to fandom season.
I've barely seen you all day.
Well, I've seen you.
Are you calling me a liar?
Ooh.
Hey, no one yells at my friend.
Oh.
Oh!
There.
Don't do
Now
that.
look what you did, Spike.
Spike,
And he's quite gentle.
Not anymore.
What? I didn't know about this part. Fire. Okay.
Where's Fluttershy when you need her?
My worst fears are happening.
As a friend is trying to defend you from a screaming dragon.
Like, I feel like you could say something here.
Okay then.
I'm not gonna let this dragon harm us.
Okay, that's a bit over.
You back away. I'm not gonna let you harm him. Wait, did you say you're not gonna let me harm Spike?
Yeah.
But
Well,
that's
at
what I'm
least
doing.
they didn't play the sketch, play it where these two would normally be oblivious and not hearing what the other one is saying at all.
Changeling against dragon is about to begin.
Spike, who's the knucklehead.
Yeah, Spike is extreme. Here.
You guys aren't fighting?
Why would we be fighting?
You would?
Accidentally invited Ponyville on the same day?
So what?
Yeah,
made it
so what?
I was trying to keep you apart because I didn't think you'd get along.
Oh,
Why not?
I get it. You thought he wouldn't like me just because I'm a dragon and I'm bad at friendship?
No, of course not. But wait, isn't that why you're here?
Wow!
You can say it about you can't say it about me. You know what? I don't want to talk about it.
Wait, please.
You
Ember,
really insulted
princess of
Ember.
throwing hissy fits.
No, it's cool. You thought I would be too soft and someone like Ember would never respect me. Just like my own changelings.
Ooh!
Ooh, burn.
Yeah. Well,
And yours.
it
and
went
you're a
with
dragon.
this direction. Went with this direction.
Break up to make up.
Why are you still here?
Because I'm having trouble leading my pack, so I don't really want to go home.
Wait, you're in charge? Oh, boy, you need to be more assertive.
Well, that's my problem. I don't know how. I tried asking them to please follow my directions. I even offered a prize.
Stop talking.
Oh.
That's how you do it.
Whoa, that just gave me chills.
You turned into a bear to defend Spike.
Huh, I guess I can be tough when I'm defending my friends, but when I'm just enforcing my rules, I feel unsure of myself.
There's nothing to be unsure of. You're the leader for a reason. Make a decision and let it be known that the
Because you're shinier.
Yeah.
He was an
because you did it-
entrepreneur.
I know.
Yeah, because you did it first.
So, what's your deal? Why do you think you're so bad at friendship?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oh.
Oh, you have to. How else are you going to
Now it's Thorax's turn.
Through feats of strength and fire duels, of course.
Get a launch!
I don't know, I thought Ember was the lightweight in the dragons.
How does that help?
Crushing another dragon in competition establishes my dominance and makes me feel great.
Right, but how do you think they feel?
Humiliated, ashamed. They probably want to run away and bury themselves under a rock and never come out. They're probably sad, kind of low, definitely not happy.
That's because that kind of competition can divide you. And it doesn't get to the heart of the issue. Talking about your feelings does.
I think I'm allergic to feelings.
I was about to say something similar.
But you should let your friends know how you feel.
I know where we can start.
Where? Oh, right. I got that.
That was a brilliant slow moment.
There's the fight.
Or we want to see you now. Guess what, Spike?
We both decided to eat you.
I'm so sorry. Let me talk about this.
Yes.
I feel
Okay, that's a good first attempt. Now maybe try to be more specific.
I'm upset.
You have every right to be.
I know I do. And I know I need to tell you how I feel because my friend Thorax said it would make me feel better. And it does.
Yeah, and I have no problem telling you what you did was wrong because my friend Ember is helping me be more assertive. Whoa.
Nice.
Yeah, screw going to Iron Will's seminar. I could do it on my own.
I didn't even think about how it could go right. Can you forgive me?
I really do feel better. So, yeah, I'm good.
Me too.
Again? Does every pony have to do this?
It's finally happening. I saw the
Running
friendship problem.
gag.
Actually, you created the friendship problem by not trusting your friends.
Yeah, back to the old. Spike's problems are not so much solved by Spike himself as they need to be solved because of Spike.
Another part of pony friendship.
Although, I'll admit it was a lot less painful this time.
Yeah, pretty much.
Pretty much.
Yeah, with the way they've been going, yeah.
As a show of unity, I present the Dragonfire Flame of Friendship to both Dragon Lord Ember and Thorax, leader of the Changeling Pack. May the flame of friendship burn for eternity.
I thought hive would be a better term.
No! I worked forever on that!
More things made of rocks.
Yeah.
I think I know what you would be friends with next.
I used to wonder where the dragons could be. And then they showed up on my TV.
And all of a sudden they
But
discovered
I think I do think I do want to have if I do like our viewers and I have like a point where right when you're like Jackson's like, oh, they'll never get along, and then have like like a Fluttershy and Discord picture just come up from the bottom or something like that.
Discord picture.
Like that bit with the Nostalgia Critics Supergirl, or not Supergirl, something else made by the same director. No, once you've directed Supergirl, you can't possibly be the director of a good movie. And then somewhere in time starts to pop up, and he just like shoves it away before it can appear all the way.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
I think it probably was a Supergirl one.
It always surprised me when I heard that, I think James Gunn also kind of wrote Scooby-Doo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. You can kind of see it, but is it James Gunn?
It was directed by Raja Gosnell. That's kind of the... Raja Gosnell is the death knell for pretty much any movie he makes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's somebody's heartbeat.
Oh, it was Santa Claus the movie, his review, where he says that.
Ah, okay.
Oh.
Who wrote this episode anyway? Let's see.
Josh Hamilton. Apparently
the guy who wrote
writer.
Parental Guidance, I believe.
Oh.
Now it makes sense.
It kind of does, actually.
Okay. Well, I mean, some of the logic was good, like at the end when it came to Dorax and Amber when they were separate from Spike. But the Spike logic here was like, we're going into early season 1, taking Twilight's mentality, but then constraining it with the Spike fuck-up mentality from season 1 to 3. And let's fuse them together to make Spike seem relatable at the beginning with this mentality. But then when you're watching the episode, it's like, oh, God. No, this is feeling like early Spike. Run!
A little bit. I mean, I think it's more just like, okay, I mean, this guy, he's a writer on, what was it, Voltron, Legend of Korra, stuff like that. I mean, this is someone who unless, I don't know, he's in the break room eating donuts the whole time, I think, yeah, this is clearly someone who knows how to write, and it really shows with how he makes the characters, like, in the beginning, just watching everyone go about what they do, I mean, I actually, I can't say it was at all bland. I kind of felt it in a way that's inconsistent at best these days. I was like really having fun with Spike and Starlight kind of calling out what he's doing and how it's like Twilight and all this stuff like that. So I was thinking at that point, like, okay, maybe. But I think much like parental guidance, it's like for as well as he sets up all of these characters and just all of what they're about and has fun with them, it's like he just doesn't really know what to do with them, and he just kind of falls back on your typical Saturday morning cartoon plot. Like, I mean, I guess this is what people are going to want for this stuff, right? And yeah, it's a what story? What I have to go through lots of hijinks to stop them from meeting each other, or else some vague, unfounded fear is going to happen. And okay, when you, when you like force it to, okay, we watch this kind of stuff for these characters. I mean, that's what the show does well. That's what's interesting here. I mean, you're clearly having a lot of fun with Ember and Thorax and even Spike when you're not forcing him to be an idiot. But okay, when you make it like a hijinks story like this, and when you force that to be in there, then the hijinks themselves become the point. And okay, they're boring, they're unfunny, they're really tired, and yeah, we don't want that. We want to see Ember and Thorax being Ember and Thorax. So I mean, heck, like if they need to get together and the ups and downs need to continue that way, it's like, do that. Don't don't throw in hijinks because you need the plot to keep going somehow.
Or like trying to justify it by saying like hypotheticals from like a non-logical sense.
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, you can even understand the fear there a little bit, but it's like, just, I mean, like I said, you could have this scenario without forcing the hijinks to, like, the hijinks are only there because you're looking for a way for this to keep going until the finale, like some way for it to progress. And that,
I pretty much agree with everything you said.
So I mean, I was like hoping that they really wouldn't like use those too much, like forced. I mean, I was waiting for the part where they get around that, and unfortunately, it's not really until the last act that they get them done and over with. That where
this really felt like
Thorax storm off.
Yeah, no, this really felt like a beats by beat episode. Like you just knew where everything was coming and knew what the outcome was really going to be. I also feel like at this point, everyone should have enough experience to actually know how to fix the problem rather than create it. It just kind of feels like we're treading old ground if it's like creating something out of nowhere. Although it did have some good lines,
My thoughts are, I think I do agree. Like the overall plot point that they won't like each other. It's stupid. But I like to say the plot point is like main plot through line is just stupid because like there's really no. If they did something like justify like in the comics how they said the Yaxen and dragons were longtime enemies, blah blah blah, something like that, and they had like changelings and dragons were enemies and the past or something like that, then it would make more sense. But it's just like, no, they just won't like each other because they have different personalities. This felt stupid, but the characterization within it, but especially Thorax's and Ember's characterization was just great throughout the episode. Just like the plot driving it forward was rather silly.
Okay.
I mean,
I just wanted to say, like, I also want to mention about the comedy of this episode because it feels like it's going on like a 2-joke format in which one joke is so stupid / kind of obvious, kind of messed up. Like, only a small amount of kids who haven't experienced any of those shows, I imagine, would somewhat laugh at that. But that's really it. Not even other kids. But the second joke, which talks about the blunt, about the colors and similarities in like Amber's case, that's when it hits gold. Yet that's very much deprecation humor, which always seems to get a laugh from like us holding older, hardened fans of this show, in which is like, oh, see, and like singing shots. But then again, it's like it's kind of like obvious that it's going for like those jokes. So it's like sooner or later, it's like that sort of trust is not going to last any longer,
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I would argue that it wasn't just that. Like at the beginning, I was genuinely laughing because it felt really spontaneous. A lot of these jokes, like, I mean, it didn't feel like they were coming off an assembly line. It felt loose. It felt freeforming. It was fun, but I mean, came where kind of what you're talking about is where, and granted, this still made me laugh, but I could see your point where it was like Ember now having an argument with Starlight and Twilight about how they're the same pony. Like, I mean, it's like you already made that joke. It's like, oh, I mean, granted, it's still making me laugh, but I can see where it's at least in danger of becoming what you're talking about there.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to phrase it. Like, if they continue going through this with like any of the episodes in season 7 or even on season 8, I feel like people might be discouraged about this type of joke line, and they might need to switch it up somewhat.
Oh, actually, one of my favorite things about the earlier seasons, come to think of it, is that like they did have a sort of a self-awareness, and not even just like to parody itself, but to just acknowledge stuff like this in general. You know, it's it's not something that just is actually taken up to 11 in real life. Like, real friends don't constantly hug each other and affirm that they're the best friends ever and such. But I mean, on some level, when stuff like that can happen and not be cringy, it can feel kind of nice. So like episodes like what Cutie Mark Chronicles, where with Scootaloo, try like avoiding the sap like the plague, but eventually finding one of those moments where it's like you just can't resist, or at least most of the ponies can't.
Yeah, I get you. Like, having like a character like that, like which Amber was in this episode, was definitely needed in order to make it less saccharine, but still like the overuse of it. But I think like a bigger complaint I had with this episode was kind of more of like the official titles to like events and such, in which like the representatives would have. Like, I mean, like, even though I wanted Spike to actually say like he was official ambassador for like the Dragonland and such, like that was really it. I don't like the other elements when they go for like professional ceremonial stuff. Like, oh my God, like seriously, I was doing that myself for reviews, and it's just like, it's just so constricting. Like, why can't we be so more loose? I mean, friendship is not just about like guidelines and such and rules and such. Like, you can have like some sort of official thing, but you could go off the rails with it. Actually enjoy yourself. You're not supposed to be prim and tidy, like, even though you guys are rulers and such. It's just like, just enjoy yourselves. And I just hope, like, and I know it's not going to go away because the show constantly does this from the very first season.
Yeah.
And it just slows it down for me. But it's not really the episode's fault, but it's more of like the grand scheme, like the themes that the show writers set up from the very beginning. Learning.
You know, if nothing else, this episode did answer my one question: why doesn't Spike just eat the castle?
There's that.
And it seems like he's able to hold himself on that mark.
I remember seeing this one comic strip where some guy did the same joke. Like, Twilight was trying to ward off a bunch of tourists from outside her building, and then it just cuts to Spike, like, just eating parts of the castle. And he's just crying, saying, like, oh, it's so good. I always wondered that. Are they ever going to get to this point where, like, he's gotta be jonesing for some food, and he just thinks, oh, just a little nibble, at the side wall where no one, can think. No one can see.
Yeah. And the counter to the whole like, we don't need this, going through the motions, like every beat off an assembly line. Oh, gotta keep them apart plot. It's like, okay, the counter to that. Well, what is the episode going to be about? Like, just trying to get Thorax and Ember to be friends? That's not a story. That's not a conflict. And well, technically, technically it is. It's just not. It's just not one that there's a formula that's been done to death. Ready and waiting to be used again for. But that aside, the evidence that there's not only story there, but maybe more than you brought out is that, like,
Sorry, keep going.
There's never a bad time to hate on the Emoji Movie, but that aside. Yeah. You see at the end there with like Spike and Ember, okay, the thing about them, becoming friends, showing that they can get along. They don't actually tell a story about that. It just happens. Like after the hijinks are all done, it almost happens right away. It's like, okay, well, you need something to do besides this, the unfunny hijinks we've all seen before. There it is. Like, figure out a way to get more out of that.
Like, I hate sometimes when they, ignore the idea of acquaintances rather than just going straight to friendship, because friendship is something completely different, It takes a while to develop it, not just one conversation.
It's like how I could be like acquaintances with a couple of people at a convention in which I go, in which I remember them from like playing a tournament. It's like compared to like a friend in which you actually hang out with them, like going with them to like see panels or eating to lunch together, like actually enjoying each other's time and stuff, like just like being able to see, like that's the big difference, which I had a problem with that with amending fences because seriously, those were more acquaintances than anything. Like old friend group, like Twilight wasn't acting that way from the beginning of the show. Like they're more like they hanged each other, like they felt like friends at least at the beginning, but they sort of grew to be acquaintances. So why not just call them for what they really are and such?
I know.
And that reminds me, like this was a criticism from like an anime reviewer I saw, but like you remember the time in which friendships had to be earned instead of just, we instantly made each other friends, And they were showing that one scene from like Yukio Zexel, in which like all of a sudden this guy by the name of Ray Shadows makes friends with Yuma, and it's like, oh, look at them becoming friends and such. But then it turned out that Ray was a backstabbing Becker, and it's just like that was the most brilliant line in all of Yukio there.
Goku can switch from Super Saiyan God to Super Saiyan Blue. Don't need to explain it. It just happened.
Yes. No explanation, no backstory, no concept of mode switching, even with God Key.
Yeah, we just think it looks cool.
Like, is that becoming a Super Saiyan God and then going Super Saiyan while doing? What is that?
No. It's basically like in the recent episode of Super, Goku's shown that he's able to turn into Super Saiyan God all of a sudden out of nowhere after the Lord Beerus arc, and it's like no given explanation or anything, and everyone was excited because we get to see Super Saiyan God. But here's the thing: we never get shown him transforming into Super Saiyan God, and also the fact that he all of a sudden switches to Super Saiyan God Blue, and it's like we're only given an explanation of like, oh, Super Saiyan God Blue apparently has more power and such. Well, Super Saiyan God has more stamina and more speed, and they just established it within this episode. And it's like, what the fuck? Why did you guys just set this up before? Why did you wait until like over 100 episodes to explain that?
Yeah. Because character development means nothing anymore.
No, not character developing. Evolving and explaining your setting and or abilities. Just
this is modern day anime. They don't have to do that shit anymore. Like in Fairy Tail when all the other guys are getting their ass kicked, but the one guy with the flame powers, he just beats them all.
No. That's more of like the power of friendship conquers all. That's its own separate set of problems. Like the only one that actually was able to do it is actually Persona 40 animation, because it's literally the power of bond for the main character gives him the strength to create different personas for each bond. And it actually works on both a meta perspective in the Persona series in the video game terms, but also.
Sorry, I'm probably generalizing things.
Yeah, you somewhat are, but I can understand the frustration as to why it would lead you to generalize stuff to the first place. It gets a bit tiresome. Like I stopped watching Fairy Tail after the Tartarus arc, even though they were doing like the flashback thing all the way back to Mavis's time when she was alive. So yeah, and apparently like they're gonna have like the last chapter version for like Fairy Tail for like the end.
Well, just
honestly,
to be clear, but
they're much anime. That's my problem.
It is, but they're pretty much after the Tartarus arc. There's pretty much nothing. There's just like one or two send-off episodes, and then it's that. And Fairy Tale Zero, which is really long. It's basically Mavis's story. Which I said I would actually really recommend Zero because, like I say with Fairy Tale stuff, when Hiro Mashima wants to get dark, he goes dark.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He just doesn't do it in the main series because Fairy Tale, like in his own word, is basically a coping mechanism for how dark he took, like his Rave Master.
Oh, I never saw much of Rave Master except for the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
No, the anime cuts off like early, but from what I understand, the manga gets like very depressing and like a lot of shit hits the fan later on, sort of thing. Lots of people die.
Yeah. I mean, I think I only generalize things because all I have to go on is things I see on Netflix, like Kill la Kill, what was it? Hunter x Hunter.
Oh yeah, Hunter x Hunter goes extremely dark, especially with Chimera Ant arc, and even the repercussions of that, which even still affects all the way up until like Killua's arc with his sister.
I'm still not over this one thing. Like, you know, we get a bunch of ants, we make them eat humans, and these humans don't have modern day clothing, but somehow there's all these animals and they have like suits and all these leotards and things. Where the fuck did that come from?
They probably have like a kneading spider ant just essentially being like, oh, what's my favorite dealies? I'm setting you up with the best couture that a vicious predator should always have.
Yeah.
The world is a strange place.
They only have like 100 episodes of Hunter x Hunter on Netflix, so I've never been able to see the whole thing.
Oh my god! Like, let me just tell you, the very end of the Ant arc is when things get real, and you'll love Wolfine. Trust me, you'll love the Ant Wolfine the most, probably.
Yeah. No, I've seen clips on YouTube, so I generally know what happens.
Oh yeah, and also Gon does like the anti-Super Saiyan thing, in which like it's like the antithesis of everything you believed in power-ups.
Mm-hmm.
It's,
I did see that scene where he fights the cat lady, and that looked pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it's cool, but also incredibly depressing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I think his old master dies, doesn't he?
No, his old master dies in 90, like very close to like the beginning. Like as soon as they get a little bit deep into ant territory, it's like all of a sudden it's like one of the cat lady awakes and notices their power levels, and then all of a sudden his arm gets chopped off.
Yeah.
It gets real. And I love it. This is why Hunter x Hunter is my very second place in my favorite animes of all time.
It's the guy who made Yu Yu Hakusho, isn't it?
Yeah, he's the same guy. It's the same guy.
Yeah. Weren't we talking about ponies?
Oh yeah. We were just going into like I think I know.
Well, as you can see, we found this this episode very, very interesting and worth talking about for a long time.
I mean, like there were some boring parts of like actual chemistry and such, and also some bad commentary about like, hey, these ponies look the same, herp and derp. Like seriously, get over yourself, writers. You think you're the first ones to make their choice, right?
Yeah, Teen Titans Go's been doing that for years.
Oh yeah, but
watch and learn.
Watch and learn.
You have too much respect for your fan base. You've only made one fame and misfortune.
Yeah, only one fame and misfortune. But for Teen Titans Go, it's like 3 episodes within a 100 episode period.
Mm-hmm.
It's not that good when you have to do that constantly. But like for ponies, we could give it a pass. The writers deserve a jab here and there. But yeah, unfortunately, this wasn't like a good episode that I hope for Triple Threat to be from like the synopsis and such, and hoping with my better get to just actually be surprisingly good. But no, it had some good elements, but it had some tired exploration. And even for the first moment for Spike, and you somehow made it a gut punch and retread back all the way to like season 1 with Spike. Why? Just why? Why couldn't you make it more significant? Why did you have to make him the butt monkey? Just why?
Well, I wouldn't say it quite got there. I mean, he did actually solve 2 friendship problems while trying to find the one. I mean, and he did, and you could argue that like Starlight and Twilight agreed with him that this was something to be afraid of.
Yeah, I guess if anything, it was kind of saying that, you know, the friendship problem that he created was very trivial.
Oh God!
Because he solved very trivial problems.
Oh God! He was taking the Applejack approach to this episode, like Viva Las Pegasus.
Yeah, you know, you just gotta feel like we should be seeing more from Spike by now.
Yes, especially when some of his closest friends are leaders of different groups, you know? I mean...
Yeah, but he still is pretty young, though.
Yeah, but
it's one of those weird things. It's like one of those things, like he's young when they need him to be, he's older when they need him to be.
I mean, so I guess for my own, like, final thoughts here, compared to Parental Guidance, like that first act, I didn't love it as much as the first act in Parental Guidance. Like that was just hilarious. I was laughing hard at just almost all the jokes. There was so much energy. It was such a spot on, like, elbow in the ribs to parents like this. But yeah, on the flip side of that, like, I don't feel like this episode crashed nearly as hard as Parental Guidance did. Like, it kind of blew its potential on a tired sort of hijinks act, and then still managed to fit in some good stuff at the very end, where like Parental Guidance, I was just, how did this become a bad impression of itself? It's like, idiots. Now they are oblivious. Now all of the jokes are not clever, just sort of the dumber, more over the top equals funnier, I hope, sort of writing. So
yeah,
I mean, well, I guess then, like, in that light, maybe I liked this one a little bit more. Like, it didn't quite reach the same heights, but like, not only did it avoid the same lows, it's like you could say that this one at least succeeded on its own terms. Like, you liked what the moral was, and you liked watching the characters get there enough.
That's what I didn't like about Parental Guidance, the moral. Like, I mean, I've known parents like that, and you just have to tell them off at times. But the way they did it,
they seem to
bring the dash the bad guy.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely. Don't make your main character who's actually giving some righteous criticism over like how they're acting in public, like the bad shoulder with like Scooter saying like, I thought you were better than that. And I'm like, how would you react when someone rude in your family is basically being so distracting, yet could be very detrimental to someone else, and just bash them like that?
Yeah. I mean, like, I could still give Parental Guidance maybe like a lukewarm thumbs up just because it's 1/3 a great episode, and I mean, that's kind of special, but not that it's not that specifically just
okay
in there, but I mean, like, this, I feel like I could at least say a solid B or something like that on the letter grade scale.
Like this episode, like in terms of like the Spikes episodes we had so far, I can honestly say this might be like the actual midpoint of like whether or not you can have a good or bad Spike episode. Like, it feels like this episode's like the actual definition of it, because like it's definitely better than Power Ponies. Like, that's the thing. It's definitely is better than Power Ponies, and it certainly doesn't reach the lows of Princess Spike. It just is like half formulaic formula and half actual brilliant, actually good comedy with an actually decent to good moral / good ending, in which like it uses like the Spike ending of the sneezing with like the icicles, but it does it a lot more better in execution and in meaning. You gotta give it credit for that. Like, uses these same through lines. I just noticed it. Like, how? How can you reference Princess Spike but make the ending better?
Yeah, I'll give the episode credit for making a few jokes of things that I've been thinking about for so long, like the castle being eaten and whatnot, and introducing the fan base to Twilight's chair fetish. That will be interesting in the coming weeks.
Wait a minute. What would happen if they combine Starlight's kite fetish with the chairs to make a chair kite?
Yeah. Oh, you want combination? Actually, like team this writer up with I don't know, like an Amy Keating Rogers or a Fox Brothers, or just like those writers who are known for being really structurally good with their episodes. Like combine this guy's enthusiasm in character writing with that, and get like, I don't know, the finest Dave Polsky episodes or something like that.
Fusion! Ha! I am now Dave Polsky. Comedic highlights!
Dave Polsky highlights reel.
Yes. I miss that guy.
Yeah. This is a few writers I miss.
I guess it did have a couple of things that it did progress. Like there was talk of the changelings, some factions, sticking to the old ways, and some's, agreeing with the new way, and Florax not being exactly the right leader for it all. That's something we've thought about in the past, and at one point, I guess,
just kind of wondering, is everyone here okay with spoilers?
Sure.
What do you mean?
For what?
I mean, it's kind of like doing the same thing that they did from like the premiere of season 6, like highlighting like Dorax flying in the background with this episode here.
Flying in the background?
No, not changeling flying in the background. The concept is still the same. They were hinting at like a future episode for the season here.
Well, that kind of goes without saying, yeah. Or, well, I mean, it goes without saying that you could possibly infer that. I mean,
you mean like Chrysalis might come back?
No, not that.
That, or some changelings like do an uprising.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of felt like they might be implying something similar with Celestia and Daybreaker.
Possibly.
Because if Luna could turn into Nightmare Moon, oh well, totally. That's all the explanation we need.
Even though Celestia has been living like a bit longer in the sunlight, as it were, like even though she's been lonely for 1,000 years without a peer to her own, and now all of a sudden she has all these other peers. It's not like they're gonna make an episode in which like all of a sudden she feels lonely because everyone else is getting popular over her. It's like, whatever happened to that sunbutt princess? What was her name? Lila, kinda.
Okay, if they make another Celestia episode, and like, oh yeah, we're gonna fill in her character, then yeah, more stuff like what Unova was saying, the actual filling in, just like, hey, guess what? Celestia is not so perfect. That's not development. That's just...
Yeah. Speaking of filling in, I kind of feel like Starlight Glimmers fill in a gap somehow. Like, in the beginning of the season, it seemed like they were kind of going somewhere for progression. Now, it just kind of feels like she's filling in, gaps in the dialogue. I don't know. Like acting like the second Twilight, basically.
Oh, God.
She's the missing link between Twilight and Spike.
Oh.
And that's why I kind of like the joke that, they both act the same, they both look the same.
But my cutie mark's more of a glimmer, don't you think? It's like, they're both sparkly celestial bodies.
And are they the same age? Because I thought Starlight Glimmer was like 40. I don't know.
And those of you really waiting to comment out in the comment section. I mean, we know you can tell the difference between their personalities. They're not the same in the literal sense they had. And talk all day about that myself, in fact. But no, it's like in the broad strokes, like we have them filling a similar sort of role in that sense.
Yeah. I'm sorry, comment section.
We're sorry,
Starlight. My transgressions.
Starlight Defense Squad, forgive us for our sin. We will purify that. No. I'm pretty sure like there isn't like an active Starlight Defense Squad watching our videos, but if they were, we have that battle.
I'd take them all on. Bring it. Of all the characters you could have picked to rally around.
Yeah.
I'm awkwardly inserted. Well, maybe we could do something interesting with her character.
Yeah. I admittedly, I'm just never been the biggest fan of Starlight Glimmer.
I mean, I thought for a bit I would be a fan of her from the season 6 finale, but now it's back to meh. Not the emoji, but just meh at the response.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they did okay with her.
The thing is,
all bottled up episode. I mean, maybe once it comes time for another Starlight episode, they'll reveal there's a process at work with her too. But
I mean, actually, I like her better this season than pretty much every other season she's been in.
That is fair, actually.
Yeah, that is fair.
Because before she was either a villain, which actually she was a pretty interesting villain up until the point we learned her backstory. That's so ruined it for her.
She was an interesting villain up until she got a second episode. Because I mean, like that
backstory.
They didn't do anything with her in that second episode until giving her that backstory. Actually, though, even in her first appearance, it was kind of funny. Like they started out with maybe the sympathetic, morally,
corrupt,
ambiguous. Sort of antagonist, and then in that same episode, they sort of tried to flip it to like, no, just a narcissist who is willing to, it doesn't even believe her own philosophy. She's a fraud. She's willing to kidnap ponies and brainwash them. And then and that's how they ended that episode, which not as interesting, but fair enough. And then in that second episode, they tried to almost flip her back into a sympathetic antagonist, and in just about the most ham-fisted, bad way they could have picked.
It kind of makes it to a point of like, maybe sometimes villains don't need a backstory.
I mean, no, I don't disagree with that. I mean, I disagree with that because she could have had a good. It's just the one she picked was just pretty much every single fan guess was better than that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, okay, there's a reason we've evolved beyond the like very simple-minded. The villain just wants to be loved underneath it all. Okay, and if you were trying to like bring that back with in a more meaningful light, it didn't work.
Yeah, pretty much.
It's like I was laughing at that until I realized that they were telling kids that like, okay, this is a good approach for someone like this, and then instead I started making unpleasant comparisons to that movie about the suspected murderer who was out on bail before her trial because, well, if that's true, the person she wanted to kill is already dead, so she's no longer dangerous. And then this documentary turned out to be about how that was a really bad idea for reasons I'd rather not say.
Oh.
It's like, okay. Like, no, see, Starlight's not dangerous if she has a friend. She only felt entitled to kidnap ponies and try to mentally and physically cripple them for life. And, like, see, that's just something normal ponies do when their feelings are hurt.
Yeah, and they can get over that within a few minutes.
few minutes, just overcome like your greatest life struggles that you internalize for multiple years.
But I guess let's get your everyone's final thoughts.
This episode isn't even interesting enough to hate on without switching to a different one.
So sort of like the boring middle, where it's not.
Actually, I mean, not even bored. Like, I did get some legitimate deals from this. I've been more bored. I felt like Hard to Say Anything, for example, was more tedious and more going down the wrong track, and I also gave that one sort of a lukewarm thumbs up. So, I mean, this is, I think, a B grade episode. Middle ground is about right, but I'd say it was, like, decent. It provided some of what I show up for.
Yeah.
Just mid-tier seems to be like the right feeling for it, even though I gave the same rank over to Fame and Misfortune. But in that case, it's like extremely high, but extremely low lows if you piss someone off the right way.
Yeah. I will say that also this is one of those episodes where it's a shame that it didn't live up to its potential because, Thorax and Ember are so good in this episode, and it sucks how they keep forcing it to be about the annoying hijinks instead.
Why hijinks? Why Spike? Why did you only show them like I'm Twilight Light here again? Wait, no, this was like I mean, I kind of like that they called back to like how Twilight would act with Spike since they have been living together for like the longest amount of time. But this is not just how you're supposed to go with it. Like, make it different. Don't make it like something same that like season 1 Twilight. Oh no, season 2 Twilight. I mean, not season 1 Twilight because she was a lot more warm there.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that. I think that I've heard a lot of people say that season 1 Twilight really struck a chord for them. Like, instead of reclusive bookworm types, like, what is the point of Friends? That my books are so much more interesting. Just like, what are the kinds of things they praise? Like how season 1 Twilight actually clearly had a heart, clearly was not unfeeling, but there's so many little moments you could single out, and it's hard to summarize them all in a broad stroke. But it's like, how instead, actually, you saw how the route they went with like Moon Dancer. The last thing I need is a bunch of ridiculous friend making keeping me from studying, and you compare that to the lines Twilight gets when she's making that transition. It's more she's like annoyed with the ponies, or she tries to kind of like hide behind sounding official, but I mean it's it's more of like a petty disinterest. It's like she just like, and how when she starts to bond with this group, all the signs of like how she's feeling new emotions, and and not even that like it's something she doesn't like, her personality doesn't lend itself to. It's just she hasn't been given the opportunities before. Like, just everybody. The short version is I've heard a lot of people say how they appreciated the dimensions to it. They felt like they could relate to Twilight a lot more than similar characters in that light.
No, I just only meant to like. I didn't mean to like bash season 1 or season 2 Twilight. Like, no, I'm just be like using something from the past that worked well for one character, saying that it doesn't work well for all cases with like another character. For Spike, it could have worked, but the way they implemented it was like the bad result of using something good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Spike, they like, there's not really as much to him to tie that into his character. It was more of a gimmick.
Yeah, especially after him pointing it out in the beginning of the season 7. Just, that's not going to work well.
Yeah, it was going back to Mending Fences. The one thing I always hated about that episode was just the way Twilight tried to kind of force herself on a situation. It just felt like she had no reason to be there.
That's
fair.
fair.
No reason to feel these things.
Huh.
Yeah, well, I mean, when somebody tells you, okay, I'm not interested in being your friend anymore, it's kind of presumptuous to assume that you know what's best for them.
Yeah, exactly.
I know what's best for you, Mood Dancer. Now sit here and watch these friendship videos as I go get us some tea. Like,
I know.
Why can't I close my eyes?
Yeah. Like, I mean, if she said it's because she's mad at you guys, or like you did something, that's a different matter, but she didn't. Twilight just assumed so. Like, I just know that that's the case because this flashback I'm totally imagining, matches that, and then at the end, no, she was totally right. She was,
Ugh, that flashback just annoyed me.
See, you should force yourself on people like this because they're hiding these feelings underneath it all. That's what they really mean.
Oh God, you're reminding me about the complaints about A Friend Indeed right now.
Yeah, well, actually, okay, A Friend Indeed is
what happened in
a more painful episode than
Cranky Little Donkey.
All of the above. That's fair.
Really? I love that episode.
No. I mean, like, people feel like Pinky was forcing herself onto someone who was the very least is interested in even becoming her friend.
Yeah.
Like some sort of friend.
I mean,
though I really do love the episode as well as you.
I know.
Yeah, okay, well, it's not going to be the same across the board. Like the comedy after Cranky shows up makes me cringe hard, and I can respect that that's not the same for everybody, and I can respect that it's John's turn to talk now. So, sorry.
No, it's okay. No, I'm sorry for interrupting. I love the comedy in that episode. It's probably not for everyone, but it's my kind of humor.
This donkey is really, really bald. And this joke is really, really forced.
Oh God, I really do love that joke. I gotta get.
I know. Same here.
No, but I also found a lot of I could sympathize with Pinky in that episode so much, since at the same time in real life I was dealing with that very same concept with a janitor who was so cool with everyone in my high school. It was just like after a bit, it's like he was disinterested with me for like 2 years, and now it's like after so many years, after talking about it with other people, it's like, yeah, that janitor hadn't like. Yeah. It feels like I shouldn't have liked the guy if he did something like that to me. Like, just would have been better to just forget about him.
Somehow I'm picturing, Cranky as a janitor in the Equestria Girls universe.
Actually, I think he is.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry for talking over you a second or anything like that.
It's so it's how they, like when you're across video screens without even an image. People are going to start randomly talking, and then one person either backs down or one person doesn't.
Yeah.
I also kind of compare Cranky with my own father, actually.
I know.
He's just like.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's like very much in the old school of like mentality. Well, like I compare myself to Pinky's cartoonish antics because I appreciate all the cartoons. My father, what are you doing watching those Japanese cartoons? It's like, Dad, it's called anime. Why can't you appreciate the intelligence of these shows? Like, nah. I'd much rather enjoy like some good old fashioned wrestling. Yeah, you do that. Run it to him, Undertaker. Kick him in the keister.
Yeah.
You're a fan of Kurt Angle. Real wrestling meets fake wrestling.
I actually remember that wrestler and his uniform spandex of America.
Yeah, well, that's an amateur wrestling singlet he would wear. That's what they wear in the Olympics and stuff.
Oh, that was for amateurs.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. The real wrestling is called amateur wrestling, and fake wrestling is called professional wrestling. Which I think, though, like if you're in the Olympics, you're technically the amateur version of the sport, because once upon a time the rule was professionals were not allowed to compete in the Olympics, but there is no actual professional wrestling league, so Olympic wrestling is the highest level of wrestling. So yeah, Olympic wrestlers are legitimately the best wrestlers in the world, unlike Olympic boxers, which is just kind of the preview for when they make the switch to the pros.
Mm-hmm.
All right, but I guess we need to be wrapping this up. So, any last closing thoughts?
I think this was the third time you said that, Ninja.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm fine.
All right. I'm fine too.
I'm just glad I could be here.
Glad to have you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that said, overall, I didn't hate this episode, but I think just average is a good way to describe it. It wasn't as bad as I was worried, but wasn't better than what I was hoping, sort of thing.
Could have been worse. Should have been better.
Yeah. But I do actually will say the main thing that I did actually like the chemistry between Thorax and Ember. So at least that main plot point worked out.
Yeah.
But I guess.
Your guesses?
Oh, so I was just going to say, well, I guess see y'all next week.
All right. See you all next week. Bye.
Ciao. Wait, you said my catchphrase now!